Welcome to my channel, The Real Truth Movement. Hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe if you're feeling what I'm saying. Los Angeles, you're being told it's an invasion. You're looking at all the memes. It looks like that, right? You're seeing all those Mexican flags flying everywhere and all that. Bro, it's not an invasion. You think that all of these people flying these flags are illegals? Yeah, I'm sure some of them are that are there. Nah, dude. These are generations of people that have been living in LA that have been taught this stuff, man. A whole revised version of history where the white man, the Christian man, Western culture is the enemy, the colonizers. In the early 2000s, in LA, Marxist professors at USC, UCLA, all the city colleges, the community colleges, the high school teachers, every facet and institution, every facet of media and every institution was taken over by commies during the 80s and the 90s. They started pushing propaganda hard. And then in the 2000s, early 2000s in LA, they were pushing hardcore Marxism, teaching it to all the kids, teaching them that California is Mexico, LA is Mexico, that we are occupiers. I remember seeing a graffiti billboard that was, it was a legal one, that they paid for or whatever, but it was by Saber and some soy boy lib fruitcake. He's a famous what do you call him, street artist, I guess. To me, those fools don't. I mean, that's cool to do that. I'm not against that. You know what I mean? But, you're not a writer, homie. But I remember seeing that billboard and it said, "Welcome to the occupation." And what that was referring to is what I'm talking about right now. And that was in the early 2000s, during that time. So you have a whole generation of people that are my age or a little bit younger that were getting indoctrinated with Marxism in their schools, in their music, on the TV. Everything that they see was pro-communism on some kind of subtle level. You know what I'm saying? But in the schools that they were going to, it was hardcore, straight up. They were telling you what they were. They weren't joking. You can go on YouTube. You can look it up. Look at old college professors in LA talking about communism. I'm sure something will pop up. But you got that whole generation, and then the generation after it, when the woke stuff started getting infused with it around 2010. And then you got this whole thing, it's just blowing up out of control. This is not a new problem. They've been taught that we are the occupiers. They think that this is Mexico. And they had it for 20 years or something like that. It's ridiculous. And they don't even acknowledge the Spaniard, the white inside of them. Like me, I'm mixed race. I'm white and I'm Mexican. I think I have some Native American, Blackfoot, Cherokee. Everybody says they have Cherokee, so I don't even know how true that is, but I know my dad had enough to get some kind of money if he wanted or something like that. But half of my family's white, half of my family's Mexican. I'm a quarter Mexican. My mom's half Mexican. My mom she was totally whitewashed, hung out with, white girls, in California back in the 70s. She wasn't a stranger to it. She hung out with the, cholas and stuff like that. She didn't have an issue with all that. She just rocked what was in at the time, you know what I'm saying? And that's what she was around. It's just like me growing up. I was around mostly Mexicans. I was the minority. Even though I got white skin, you know what I mean? I grew up around that, and it's just I was naturally accepted, and that's my get down, you know what I mean? So, but where was I going with this? Yeah, they deny the Spaniard in them, the white. Like me, I'm proud of everything I am. I'm proud of the Mexican in me. You know, it's like everybody knows that I got some kind of Mexican in me, even though my skin may not reflect it. You just know it. You know what I'm saying? Like and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of the white in me too, 100%, dude. Like even though I raw like trust me, dude. I stuck up for whites when most people would rather not be the underdog and just go and join the popular crowd in the most dangerous of places. Nah, not me, homie. Uh-uh. I'm proud, straight up, and I will tell the truth and I will defend it. I don't care what side or whatever and all that. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. If one side is incorrect about something, I'm gonna tell you straight out, like these fools are wrong. You know, I'm not trying to fit in with anybody or anything like that. So, and you will find that very soon on some certain topics. That's gonna piss a lot of you off, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I'm not here to make enemies or start beef or do anything with anybody like that. It's not my get down, dude. You know what I mean? I love the Father. That's what I'm. You know that's what I'm about. But I'll still, you know what I mean? Like, don't mess with me, homie. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna tell you the truth. You don't like it? It is what it is, dude. And a lot of homies that I know ain't feeling what I feel because they were brainwashed with what I'm telling you right now. And I remember when this was happening in the 2000s. And all my homies that were in graffiti and gangs and all that stuff, I would tell them when they were getting into all this Marxism stuff and all this stuff passed around. I was telling them, like, dude, this is a bunch of BS. This is commie nonsense. You guys are falling for a bunch of BS, dude. You know, and then I would have to break it down. We'd get into mad debates, partying, drinking, and just going on. I knew back then that it was BS, dude. It's just unfortunate a lot of these fools that grow up in these areas don't know history like that. And then when they're taught that slogan, knowledge is power and all that stuff, and they think by going to these schools that they're going to get some knowledge, but they're not. They're getting a bunch of propaganda, a bunch of commie nonsense, because they got all these installed commies in all these institutions. There's no escaping it all. It's like I remember when I went to be a substance abuse counselor, and I went back to school, and it was a Intercoast Colleges in West Covina, and I remember in their curriculum, because I mean, I took it serious. I can't say that for a lot of people there. There was some really good friends there, dude. Don't get me wrong. Cool people, all cool people. But a lot of people, they were just letting them pass, dude. I took offense to that, man. I was not feeling that, dude, because I worked my butt off. I studied, dude. Like you wouldn't believe, man. It was like I'm trying to right all the wrongs in my life. I'm gonna make up. I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, coming with a fire passion, dude. Just like, you know what I mean? Like, just straight, all from the heart, you know. And in that curriculum, I saw in there was they were teaching a bunch of woke stuff, white privilege nonsense. And when I saw that, I couldn't believe my eyes, dude. Like, in my ears, like I took a double take. I was like, are you for real? Like, and I even raised my hand, like, yo, and I said, like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, And the professor, just to me, it was like a glorified substitute teacher, but it was some gay dude, and he had AIDS. It was some Filipino dude. I don't want to say his name. Um, he really did not like me calling it out. I straight up called him out on it. Like I was like, what is this? This is BS. And he was like, no, it's not. But he started doing, and this is in like 2011, 2010, 2011, somewhere around then. And I never heard this stuff before. Like I couldn't believe like what I was hearing. Like I've heard it come up before a couple times, you know what I mean? But like I just laughed it off as something stupid. Like, come on, man, like for real. Um, but when I read that, and I was just like, you're out of your mind. I was like, who's this? And he was trying to co-sign it and like trying to tell me that I'm wrong. Like, I'm like, dude, this isn't. And then I was like, when he started in on that, I looked at him straight in the face. I said, let me ask you a question. I'm all, where did you grow up? You know, and then I asked him about how he grew up. You know what I'm saying? And just like certain questions. And then after he gave me his little background about how he grew up and where he was at, and then I had to break it down for him about how I grew up and where I grew up. Yeah, bro, that privilege stuff isn't happening. And if anybody has privilege, it's you. And you get the privilege to say all this BS and get away with it. But if I was to call you out and take it up another notch, you know what I'm saying, and really get to the bare bones of it all and call you out on everything, then I'm the one that's going to get in trouble. I won't be able to talk on here. I won't be able to be in that school. You know, all of that stuff. Like whether it was back then or now, it doesn't matter. Like you know what I'm saying? But anyways, like after, you know, just going in on him about it, I said, like, I remember I stopped. I said, dude, you cannot tell me that you're a minority. Like I said, maybe you are. You're Filipino, but I was like, dude, like I was like, dude, take a look around. Look around the classroom right now and tell me who the minority is. And everybody looked around. It was like one of those mic drop moments. Like, bam. Everybody looked around and shut up after that because it was true. Everybody knew. There was like 2 white people in the whole freaking class and everybody else was Mexican. I was like, dude, I'm not trying to hear your nonsense, because a lot of these people grew up a hell of a lot better than me and had a lot more advantages. So don't give me that. And man, I can go into the whole thing about getting pulled over by cops and all that. Like, all of that stuff is a myth. The whole race thing, it's a bunch of BS, man. I'm telling you right now. If you look like you're trouble, you're going to get messed with. And it's just a simple fact of it. It is what it is. Because I can roll in a car full of different races, and I guarantee you the person that they're going to mess with probably ain't going to be them. Because it never really was in the past. So, but they were teaching all this nonsense then. I saw it then. You know what I mean? So and that wasn't the only thing I seen. And you know, and all my truthers out there will know what I'm talking about. They were teaching stuff from Alice Bailey in there. You know, her 10-point plan and all that. I did a video for Ninja Scroll. Shout out to Ninja Scroll. What up, my homie? Check out that video when you get a chance, man. That's dope, dude. But if you ever look at her 10-point plan, look up Alice Bailey and you'll know what I'm talking about. I can't believe they were teaching that stuff in the school. It was wild, man. But so you kind of have an understanding of what they have been taught. You've seen it over 2020. You've seen it, over the last few years, now that all the normies are talking about it and everything is getting called out, and their mask has been lifted. The only problem is that they're not intimidated by you at all, because they know you're not going to fight back, and that's why they're so emboldened the way they are. As long as you don't stand up for yourself, and I don't mean go hurt anybody or anything like that. What I mean is standing up for yourself, defending yourself. Do not be a coward. Do not let anybody shut you up. Now, don't be an idiot. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a moron. You know what I mean? Be about integrity, honor, be solid. You know what I mean? But don't, you know. I know a lot of you are tired and you're upset and you're pissed off, and I get it. You know what I mean? You've seen it through the whole Shiloh Hendrix thing, but a lot of people are blowing an opportunity with that. You know, I'll make another video on that, but they really are. They're fumbling this one, because this is a great opportunity to wake up a lot of people about what they've been having to put up with, and they don't have to anymore. But you don't become the monsters that have been mistreating you or claiming that what you are. I know you're getting tired of being called a racist and all these other things, but don't become that just out of spite and anger because you're just sick of it and you don't care anymore. That's fine. You want to be prejudiced against certain cultures or people or whatever. That's fine. Everybody has them, and to a certain extent, you tolerate certain people more than you do others. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have this friend, and I might tolerate this one a little bit more than this one because this one's a little more obnoxious. You know what I'm saying? That happens. That's fine. People have their preferences. You can't hate on somebody for that. But when you start getting in all this, is that I'm better than you inherently because of the color of my skin nonsense, or somehow that makes me better than you. No, it doesn't. And a lot of you fools that are pushing, this black fatigue stuff, you're really fumbling this one. You really are. And it's unfortunate. It really, really is. It's really, really, really unfortunate. Um, just remember, it's not an invasion. This problem has been like a cancer in LA, just sitting there happening. Every time that you see that the Lakers win, or there's some kind of celebration, you see those Mexican flags. It's all been in your face the whole time. And during the 2012 riots, 24 or 16, 2020, you've seen it all. They've been flying that same flag. This is nothing new. Don't let all the both sides of the mainstream media fool you, because both sides are getting played right now, big time. It's the Hegelian dialectic being played out right before our eyes. And depending on how Trump handles this, is gonna really let me know what he is, who he is, and the only question is when did he sell out? Was he? Because I don't think he was a puppet from the start. There's no way. And people that say that, you're I'm sorry, you're probably susceptible to a lot of other BS, because a lot of you are. A lot of I'm sorry, the truther community is a bunch of lops now. You just It's embarrassing what it's become. It really is. You guys don't base anything on facts anymore, or proof, evidence. Nope. Just feelings and hunches and memes and YouTube videos that sound smart but aren't based on anything. That's pathetic. Anyway, um yeah, I got an issue with the truth movement. um I'm pretty sure you can tell because of the title of the video too that there might be some kind of issue I have. But yeah, this problem in LA has been happening for a while, man. And I just think we're all getting played. We're all getting played, and I'm hoping that the right thing gets done. And the right thing is not an easy thing, but you're gonna have to get rid of a cancer. And a lot of those people in LA are cancers. That's why a lot of people are leaving California that love California too. That's wild, man. Even the Rasa, homie, they don't like their own doing this. They ain't feeling it, dog. It's just they're not. The older homies, they ain't feeling all that. They're like, and they know what I'm talking about too. They do. You may disagree with me politically, but you know I'm telling the truth culturally, and you know I'm telling the truth as a man. You see these youngsters, you see their get down, you see how lame they are. It is what it is. You see what Rasa's trying to be right now. They ain't dressing like we did in the 90s. They're not reflecting the Chicano culture. They're not putting on the white t-shirts and the Dickies and the, with the Lokes on and all that. They're not doing all that, homie. They're not putting on the Cortez and the solo pants and the pro clubs, and they're not doing all that. They're picking up the black ghetto culture thing. That's how they're rocking. They're trying to be like that. They're trying to assimilate to them, just like how all the whites were trying to do during the 90s, trying to be like them and assimilate to them while denying their own culture and their own get down and stuff, which is pathetic and sad. Really sad. It is. Y'all should be ashamed. And now Rasa's doing the same thing. They already did it to the white people. Now they're going to do it to you. And they're going to break down your culture. And then pretty soon all the cultures are going to be gone. All the unique things about them, they're going to be gone. And they're just trying to turn us into a bunch of morons. A bunch of cattle. A bunch of savage cattle. That they, you know what I mean? That's what they want to turn us into. They don't want us smart. They don't want us thinking for ourselves. They don't want us checking ourselves, calling out BS and putting people on the right track and putting them on the right path. No. They're teaching people to straight up believe lies and be proud of it. And then teach other people to believe the lies and be proud to and knowingly knowing that they're lies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's some psychotic stuff, man. Like I feel sorry for our generation that got caught up in this woke stuff and all this race stuff. Like, man, you guys are old enough to know better. You were raised in a different world, man. You know better. You were raised unplugged. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I just want to give you a little quick little breakdown. I know this is probably a long video for some of y'all, but anyways, I don't know. I might shorten it or something. I got way too many of these me going all over the place, blabbing and stuff. But anyways, in LA, this problem ain't going nowhere. It's been going on. It's just some of you are just recognizing it. It's happening in every other city now. I started in LA first, but It's in all the universities. It's in all the inner cities. So, yeah. If we don't learn to tribe up, learn to know who our allies are, our friends, other cultures, and I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Mexicans and blacks too that aren't down with all this the nastiness that's plagued your people, a nasty culture that has destroyed everything and gutted everything. You need to wake up your own people, man. Like, I got love. Like I said, I got love for both sides, both people, man. They're both my people, dude. I defend both. I'm just gonna spit the real to you, and that's it. So, anyway, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Anyways, peace.